Hello everyone, E3 2021 is over and I finally have a chance to put my thoughts out there, and I'd love to hear what you guys thought about E3 this past year, what you were excited for especially. I'd love to hear what you're looking forward to. And as always with these types of videos, there's kind of two hats you have to wear when you look at any of these presentations, whether it's something that has a lot of stuff that interests you personally or not. Sometimes the presentation can be really good even if there's nothing for you personally, and I think people confuse that a lot sometimes. But yeah, I always try to think of it as more along the lines of, was it good overall? Is there a lot of fun stuff that I think a lot of people will enjoy, even if there's nothing I liked? And talk a little bit more when I do my videos about what stood out to me personally, just getting my individual perspective out there. And yeah, there's always like a million videos out there talking about each thing as it came out step by step, so I never do that if this is the first time you're stopping by here. I just kind of talk about what stood out to me the most, positive or negative, going through the weekend. You had Ubisoft, which showed up, which I wasn't really looking for anything specifically from Ubisoft except maybe an update on Beyond Good and Evil 2, which at this point I'm pretty much convinced has been silently shelved forever. So there was really nothing there. Mario vs. Rabbids, I think a lot of people are looking forward to the sequel to that, but that never really interested me. Xbox, along with Bethesda, actually had a really good showing. The last Xbox console that I own is the 360, so I'm not like, I wouldn't be playing any of this stuff, or wasn't really interested from that perspective, but they did a really good job, I think, and I think especially if you are an owner of the current Xbox system, especially if you're someone who enjoys something like Game Pass, you probably really enjoyed that, and a lot of great stuff. I'm excited for those people. Like, they actually showed up and put some effort in. I think people who are, fans and gamers of the current Xbox line of systems will have a lot of fun and enjoy what they showed there. And then we get into, for me, what was by far the most shockingly, almost embarrassingly terrible presentation of E3. And getting into these last few here, these are the ones that I focused on as far as what I wanted to see. And always with E3, I kind of come at it with, here's a huge list of games in my mind, some of which I know are in production, and I would just like to kind of see what's going on with them. That would be fun. Some things that have been rumored that might be happening that I'd love to see revealed, and other things that are kind of just wishes for things that you have no indication that they would actually be coming out, but I'd love to see them come out. Big surprises, like back when Shenmue 3 was announced, things like that. And there may be around 30 or so games in my mind of that variation, anything from stuff that was just a dream to things that I knew were in production, would like to see, to things that might possibly be in production that could realistically show up. And out of all of those, only one showed its face. This was really disappointing, and the most disappointing coming in here was Square Enix. It was unbelievable. The whole thing started with the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which, to its credit, actually looks like it could be a decently fun game. I'm not really knocking that game in particular, but that was the main showpiece for the entire show for Square Enix. It went on way too long. I kept getting more and more worried as it kept going, because alright, you had the CG trailer and revealed what it was, and okay, and we got a little bit of discussion about a little more in detail what it is. And then the gameplay kept going and going and going, and it was almost half an hour long into it was almost half the presentation in total. And that just really was like, wow, there probably isn't a lot to show. And that was kind of shocking, because I figured there would be some things popping up for Square. Then eventually got some more Marvel stuff, and we got a quick glimpse at Final Fantasy. I mean, again, this is Square Enix. Like, why is there no... I know we just had a Dragon Quest showcase, but they could show something from that. Final Fantasy, you have Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, which we know is well into production. You could show a little teaser or something, whatever. You could show Final Fantasy 16. You could do, there's a million... it's Final Fantasy. And there were only two things there Final Fantasy related, and they were both horrible. The first thing was this HD 2D remaster collection of Final Fantasies 1 through 6. And when that first popped up for a couple of seconds, I was like, wow, that'd be awesome. I love, it's a little different than the original artwork, but it's improved over the things that were released on mobile and things like that. So it'd be cool. It'd be great to have like a little collection on the Switch or a PS4, particularly the Switch. That'd be awesome. Just pop in a cartridge in those 6 games. And no, this thing caught a lot of people off guard because it was revealed very quickly these were only coming to Steam and mobile. So not only was there zero chance of any kind of physical collection, they weren't even coming to consoles digitally, like not at all. That was just a huge letdown, and it was just an immediate reaction from everyone that I noticed online, just like, really? Yeah, really? What is the thought process behind that? I could see including Steam and mobile, absolutely, for maximizing profits, but exclusively, what the heck were they thinking? And then we get to the biggest surprise of the show for me, which was just jaw-droppingly questionable as far as what line of thinking made this come into existence. But Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, otherwise known as Screaming Chaos the game. Holy crap, this looks like the most bland, generic hack-and-slash action game I've ever seen, with these horrendously designed characters. This looks like it looks like a really crappy budget title hack and slash game was given a super big budget, and it just looks, everything that we saw just had this feeling of just boring, unimaginative, tedious looking garbage with the most horrendous dialogue I think I've ever heard, and just, it looks atrocious. I can't believe it's real. The trailer, what they showed to me, the thing that most reminded me of was a parody of a trailer for a good game of this style. That's how bad it was. I mean, it was baffling. And then I was hearing people, were trying to download the demo, and that wasn't even functioning. That had all kinds of technical issues, and just, wow. And that was it. That was Square. Nothing. No, shocking surprise return of, a Chrono collection or something, or remake. No Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 news, no Final Fantasy 16, no surprise, no nothing. I mean, just nothing. Nothing came from them at all. Even people that were hoping for something more like Tomb Raider or something outside of the realm of RPGs, there was nothing. I mean, it was awful. I think that was the worst presentation that Square has ever had at E3, just from my personal taste. It was terrible. And also in that boat, the next day, there's a few that would be hit or miss for me depending on what they showed up with. One was limited run games. They showed a ton of games, but there was really nothing that interested me. One big thing I was hoping for was an update on Blade Runner, but that remaster keeps getting delayed. I don't know what's going on with that, and a couple other things, but it was really just nothing for me, but just a personal thing. There were so many games that, I think for most people, are something that they're going to be interested in, whether it's even, Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, and Bandai Namco showed up with like one game, and it was just, I feel like they forgot that E3 was happening. It was just crazy. Nothing, didn't even see like here's a logo for Tales of Arise, like just, there's nothing. There's a write-off. And the only thing that was left that was actually really good, that I think was definitely by far the best presentation of E3, even taking myself out of it, even better than the Xbox One, was Nintendo. They actually had a lot of stuff, and this is particularly the one where I'd like to hear what you guys are excited for. On a personal note, for me, there was almost nothing. This was one of the most disappointing Nintendo Directs I've seen, because Nintendo, more than anyone, was where I was looking for a lot of stuff that I was hoping to see. The biggest thing, of course, knowing me, Monolith Soft, what's going on, aside from, helping out with Breath of the Wild 2 tremendously. They have so many people they've been hiring the past couple years. I mean, they are just going full bore, and even though they're helping Nintendo with a lot of projects, they haven't had all hands on deck for a main game since Xenoblade Chronicles X. Even Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Torna and everything, where it was not everybody. It was a slimmed down team. So they're working on stuff, but I don't know what's going on, and nothing. And just keep hoping for Xenoblade Chronicles X to get ported over, and it's now getting to the point where it's just absurd that it hasn't been brought over, with how much how the company is owned by Nintendo. They're so involved in so many different Nintendo games. They're one of the biggest studios that Nintendo is involved with, and Xenoblade is becoming a big franchise for them. The fact that that's not been ported over, but this next game showed up, was just mind-blowing to me. One of only 2 games that showed up for Nintendo that I was excited for. Fatal Frame: Maiden of the Black Water is coming to the Switch. I never thought this was going to happen. I thought this was going to die on the Wii U. I really did. And the fact that this is coming over but not Xenoblade, like, what the heck? And I'm excited. I want to get this because I wanted to play it on the Wii U, but in North America it was digital only. It was released physically. Even Europe got it, Japan got it. I mean, North America just, they didn't get it, so I never got to play it, and I really wanted to check it out. So I really want to play that. That was cool. That was a big surprise. The big thing that I was pretty sure was going to be there and did not disappoint at all was Shin Megami Tensei 5. It looks amazing. I'm very excited. I'm really hoping that the Nocturne remaster kind of helps get a new audience, a new, like, not just Persona audience into Atlus's work with this series, and that'll hopefully increase sales for Shin Megami Tensei 5 and create a bright future for that series, because this looks really cool. It looks like a big step up in evolution from 4. I mean, going from the 3DS to the Switch, a big deal, but it looks like a really great next entry, and I'm really curious to play it. It looks better every time we see it, so that's going to be really cool. I'm excited for that. But yeah, that was about it for me for Nintendo, and yeah, I'm not personally much of a Zelda fan, but if you are a Zelda fan, man, that had to been really disappointing. How they straight up came out and said they have nothing else coming out for the anniversary. You're just getting Skyward Sword with, like, one of the best additions to the game hid behind a paywall with an amiibo, and then a Game & Watch. That's like, here we go. We have nothing else coming in the works, but here's a Game & Watch. That was, yeah, I don't know. So overall, this was an incredibly disappointing E3. One other thing that stood out to me that actually looks kind of interesting, I'm not, super into the franchise, but that it looks good, and it might be one I'd at least check out a demo of, is Metroid Dread. That looked pretty cool. The new Metroid, really like the style of that. But yeah, this E3 was pretty much a complete dud for me. Most of the presentations were a waste of time. Square, again, stands out the most to me as just bafflingly horrible. Just incredible. I couldn't believe it. And Nintendo, I think, just ran away with the show, and Xbox, for people who are big Xbox fan, did a great job. Everyone else just kind of dropped the ball, and I don't know, just didn't really show much, even as far as things that we know certain companies are working on. They didn't even show those off. Like, it was just, I don't know, it was a big letdown this year. And hopefully, though, in the case of Nintendo, we might not have to wait very long to get another showcase of equal caliber coming out, because there's going to be more stuff coming out this year, and maybe that's when we'll see Monolith Soft. Maybe again, Nintendo does this a lot, where sometimes some of their bigger reveals will get their own dedicated direct, and that will be coming out in the future. The one thing I forgot to mention, because for Smash, because I'm a big fan of Tekken, it's great to see a Tekken character come in there. Not a Smash person, but it's really cool to see that, because I do like Tekken a lot, so that's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, so Nintendo did a great job. I'd love to hear what you saw at E3 that you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.